Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all having another fantastic morning. And today I'm going to be picking up where I left off on the RWBY trailer analyses. And the last one I talked about was the red trailer. So now I'm talking about the white trailer. We are halfway through at the end of this video. And there's more to talk about with this one, okay? So, whereas the RWBY trailer was just kind of like this badass fight scene. This one, you know, again, similar. I don't think this counts as canon for the show. Because I mean that's arguable for this one. I don't know if like there's more information about that somewhere, but in this trailer we get Weiss, and they actually introduce her on this like intercom. It's like Weiss Schnee, so we get to learn her name, which is cool. And we see Weiss walk out onto this like stage, and we hear like an applause, you know, applause, and it's supposed to be like a concert hall. And she opens song. She opens her voice, and well, before we talk about that, let's talk about Weiss's design, because she very much like RWBY has this like magical girl like tutu-ish looking like dress. If anything, I like Blake and Yang's design more than RWBY and Weiss's, and both of them get way better in the later seasons, so it doesn't really matter. But she has a pretty cool design. Even by looking at her, you could kind of tell that she's like this formal rich girl, which is her character. So whereas like RWBY didn't really feel like her, when Weiss is acting like a cold, you know, this cold, distant character, that's kind of like who Weiss is deep down. Like, I know a lot of people argue that like when the show started, and I felt the same way. I was like, oh, Weiss is just a fucking bitch. That's cool. She's just a stuck-up asshole. But like deep down, Weiss is this like insecure person. So if anything, this is like an honest portrayal of her. It's just not who we saw for the first season, but it is her character. And we see her, which by the way, this trailer came out in February, which was like how many months was that? At least like 4 months after the first trailer. So this was a slow burn before the show started. So I could only imagine like if like you saw the red trailer day one, how long you would have to wait to even get where we are now in 2018. That's 5 years later. And there's not been like this large amount of like, there's been a lot of story for the show, but it's like they don't seem to be done anytime soon. But anyway, so Weiss walks out into this concert hall and she begins to sing. Now when she sings, we just hear Casey Lee Williams, the girl behind, you know, the entire soundtrack. And later on in the show, there is an episode where Weiss sings again, and it's Casey Lee Williams again. So I guess that's like a canon thing, that for whatever reason, when Weiss sings, she just sounds like this completely different person. But whatever. You know, it's kind of cool, I guess, but it's also kind of, it feels wrong. But she's singing in this like concert hall with all these lights on her. We get this shot from behind her, and her voice is this amazing echo effect. It is this really cool vocal effect where it sounds like this kind of claustrophobic, like mirror. Like, it sounds so great. I remember I compared it to this song by Panic at the Disco called The Piano Knows Something I Don't Know. That's the only other kind of vocal effect I could compare it to. But again, with the red trailer, we had like this Red Riding Hood, Red Like Roses theme, and now we get another kind of Fable-ish theme song with a very easy to distinguish character, color, design, everything. It is to the point, on the spot. They're really just like hitting it home, and the camera is like probably the best thing about this whole trailer. But anyway, and the song is great too. It's like mirror, mirror, like it's this. I just love it, and especially since Weiss is very insecure about comparing herself to her family members and stuff like that. So the fact that she's like that the mirror thing is just like a comparison thing. You know, it makes sense. But when she starts singing, we see the reflection in the floor of this like cathedral that she's singing in. And it's like we enter this world underneath her feet, in this kind of like reflection world that I guess is like kind of taking place in her mind. Which, if this is like a mental battle, then you could really say it's canon. But when she's in this reflection world, there's this suit of armor that pops up, which later on you'll learn that Weiss can summon creatures. And the creature she summons is supposed to be a suit of armor. So it is a great... I love the way that they handle that and the way they care about these trailers. But the suit of armor just starts swing on her, and she opens up with her... What is it called? Is it it's like a saber? The things that like jousters use, or not jousting, what is it called? Fencing. Whatever that's called, she has that type of weapon, and there are dials on it where it'll change what comes out of her weapon. So we'll see this later on in the trailer. But at first, the suit of armor guy has a lot of the offense. She's very like on the defensive, and then she like pulls out some magical shit. Weiss has this ability to like create platforms around her, so like these really cool artistic, and she'll be able to do it for her teammates. And she'll be able to use that to like jump around the field. And so she starts getting a bunch of offense, just jumping from platform to platform. This guy can't keep up with her. She's just bouncing around. And the music is getting like intense at this point. It's like really like getting on. And then out of nowhere, this motherfucker just sucker punches her. And the music just kind of halts for a second. And it's like, oh my god. And then she rises to her feet. And then we kind of up on her. And she gets this really like her face shows a little bit of motion where it didn't before. We get the moon panning over, and the world of Remnant Moon is broken and distorted for whatever reason. I never understood that. But she begins to sing, and as she does, she climbs to her feet, and then there's this stream of blood that just is going down from her forehead down her eye. And it's so artistic and beautiful. And then her saber goes red, and then this guy is coming after her, but she just deflects that shit, changes color, and that's when the music is like, it's this epic crescendo of just mirror, mirror, da, 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 da. And then this guy is trying to keep up with her, but now she like is full on badass mode. She's just slashing this motherfucker, dropping his weapon, and we get this really great close up where it's like she's raising her saber, and it's like the music is just so epic. She dodges this attack, throws him, she sends a platform underneath him, throws him into the air. She has this one attack that like halts him midair. She jumps, and then she does this flip, gets this RWBY, like this shot that RWBY had in the Red trailer where she's like up in the air. Very sexy attack. The saber goes white, and boom, she cuts through the motherfucker, and the music starts to die down, and then it's a close-up on her face, and it's like the end of like a piano recital, or like it's the end of her song, basically. This was like all supposed to be kind of happening mentally in her brain. We even see the red streak that was going down her eye disappear, but there is a scar, so it's kind of like open to interpretation, you know. But at the end of it, it begins to get this little snowfall because there is no ceiling above them. And she does this little curtsy, and then literally there's closed curtains, and then the panels from the last trailer show up, and it's like her silhouette appears frame by frame. This trailer was amazing. I love this fucking thing. This is my favorite trailer. Weiss is probably my second least favorite character out of the four, but that does not stop this from being a really fucking cool trailer. I thought the music in this one was perfect. I love the Mirror Mirror song. I love Weiss's weapon. I think she has the coolest weapon out of all four. Maybe Yang. No. Oh god, it's hard to choose. And I love all four of them to death except for Blake's. Hers is kind of But the weapon, the music, Weiss's character design, the first time you see it, it is pretty punchy. The way the cathedral is set up and the way that the reflection on the floor kind of melds into this reflection world, and we get the suit of armor, which is like kind of like for a girl who's supposed to be like this regal and supposed to be like a fancy rich girl, like a suit of armor for some reason is like a fitting enemy. Like Red Riding Hood, obviously her enemy was the werewolf, so her getting the suit of armor, it still like matches this theme, this very like one idea. Like this is obviously like the kind of idea you would get in a dream. You know, it's not fully supposed to make sense. Whereas the next two trailers definitely aren't that, but that's okay because they're still awesome. But the camera work, like the close-ups on Weiss's face, the way the when she's in the air, and then when the music really just goes mirror mirror, I get goosebumps every time I watch this thing. I've seen it probably at least 10 times. I love it. I finally was able to talk about it. I'm happy. Anyway, I think I've gushed over this thing enough. We're already past 10 minutes. This was a great way to kind of introduce Weiss's character and to give another layer to this show, because this was nothing like the last trailer, and the next two trailers aren't going to be like this one. So it's interesting. It is really interesting, and I wish I could have been a part of this when it was going on, to see like the comments, what people were thinking back then, back when Monty was still with us, and I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. As always, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow with another episode of Good Morning Soul, and with that, I leave you.